Welcome, everybody, to the Farmer Tom Show. Today we've got Aaron Getty, a really good friend of mine, a producer, a cannabis producer in Southern Oregon. So, Aaron, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, we're sun-grown here in Southern Oregon, and I was fortunate enough to be born in Southern Oregon, Grants Pass. Born and raised here. Went away to U of O in Eugene. So never really strayed that far from home. So I was, had my start in the medical program before dispensaries were really a thing in Oregon, and going to school for business at University of Oregon. I never really saw legalization coming up, so I kind of was in business school thinking about what I was going to do for a living, and never really thinking that I could be presenting to people about my life, talking about actually doing marijuana production, cannabis production for a living legally. So that was a big, turning point in my life when all of my worldly pursuits got to be manifested and my dreams become a reality through working with the plant and a lifestyle that I was already accustomed to, and excited to be a front runner and innovator in the industry. So immediately when recreational cannabis went in Oregon, my focus was to create a platform where myself and others could meet other industry participants and also be a part of the forefront knowledge. So what I created was a Southern Oregon Cannabis Commerce Mixer. It was a long name, immediate results. But what we did is we have a speaker. Tom, you were a speaker at some of our events, and we would also encourage people from the audience to introduce themselves. And I really highlighted the importance for people to own language and the opportunity to refine speech at these events. So people, and we're encouraged if we had enough opportunity to pitch yourself every month if you could, because I felt that it was something I did in college as an entrepreneur focused business administration graduate. So venture capital, business plan, presentation kind of stuff was my jive, and I brought that element to a monthly cannabis meeting. We did every month, first Monday of the month for 4.5 years straight. Not a single meeting or month was missed. And I worked really hard to maintain that reputation, security for the local community, to be a part of this group. And from that group, we all felt like we had a pretty good pulse on what was going on. The meetings kind of had their ebbs and flows. At first there was the marijuana boom with recreational cannabis that kind of busted right around hemp legalization. So right as the recreational was kind of dipping, we had this huge influx of capital from the hemp industry, and then that hemp industry crashed along with. Ironically, there was another boom right then with the coronavirus for recreational or marijuana production, and we're currently dealing with a huge influx of black market production that's then been responded by local governments, and there's really a widespread crackdown right now on what they call non-licensed marijuana production. So outside of the financial struggles we're all facing right now in the sun-grown arena, I do feel fortunate to not have the stress of being a black market producer, because this year it's a lot different than years in the past, which isn't, it's interesting to watch change. I did the math the other day. If I was just to account for 40 hours a week since I started in the marijuana business, I would have been 40,000 hours into it. So they say 10,000 hours in any one subject, you're an expert. Well, if I was just doing 40 hours a week, I would be 4 times over. And we all know as an entrepreneur, you're a lot more than 40 hours into your lifelong passion and pursuit. So
right. Well, you've done a great job with your meetups. You've really brought the community down, together down there. You produce some great genetics. And on this show, we want to talk a little bit about, the need for more producer collectives in the cannabis industry. Can you talk on that subject a little bit for?
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, it kind of happened out of necessity. We started working together. Partially, in fact, it was because the cannabis commerce mixer stopped or ceased to exist once COVID hit in March, because the group meetups thing was against government policy. So, we didn't do that. But I had that moment to kind of reflect on life and what I was. I really felt this gap in my life, what I was doing for the public. So I kind of really worked on myself, worked within my fences. Luckily, I had this opportunity here. And over time, the opportunity really spoke to me about being able to work together with other growers. And what stemmed the thought was when I looked at the task at hand of crashing prices, crashing demand, and the cost of taking on the statewide dispensary direct distribution model. And it's a hefty cost. And virtually you end up spending 20% just on gas and logistics around the state. So when you spend money for a wholesaler that already has all that set up, it seems like the right move to do. But this year, the economy was so bad as far as demand for our product that the wholesalers were usually vested in their own grows, so they were busy moving their own products. So wholesale wasn't even an option. So here I am embarking on dispensary direct distribution, looking at spending, upwards of any minimum $1,500 a month to $5,000 a month just to facilitate sales. And my sales are likely barely to cover that really right now. I mean, we were happy to sell, not happy, but when it comes to like friends checking in with each other and saying, how are you doing? It's like, yeah, I've made my first pound sale in spring. And it's like, well, we're commercial cannabis production, so that doesn't work, like we're frantically inside our mindsets thinking, well, what are we going to do? And so when each one of us farms are looking at the logistics of doing dispensary direct distribution, because the dispensaries want to do it too. They want to work with the farm direct. They don't want to pay a middleman. And so we're all thinking about it, and we're talking to each other, and we decide to work together. It really stems from that. To give credit where credit's due, one of the members was already two different businesses that were co-oping together. So they had that experience and resources to bring to the team as far as context to, hey, we're willing to do this. And me, as far as doing the cannabis commerce mixer, that's really what it was all about from the beginning, is what can we do to work together? And why the cannabis commerce didn't really move beyond that was because I became nonpartisan. I didn't take on really sponsorships. I didn't take on any sides. I was really putting on a philanthropic event for the community, and that way it wasn't didn't have any like bipartisan, or didn't have any scrutiny on certain things. We didn't have large corporations coming in and sponsoring and pushing. So it kept a really organic, calm feel for everything. So as far as where we are with this local producers cooperative, which we call Southern Oregon Family Farms, it's a Sun Growers OLCC producer cooperative. That's a limited investor capital and no use of lights for flowering as your main profit model for your business. So that really gets out a lot of the high-end greenhouse and indoor production, because it's our belief and it's our motive to help inform the worldwide users of sun-grown cannabis of its medicinal and high potency capabilities, especially in comparison to the sustainable factors and inputs it takes to grow it.